During the Great Depression, millions of Americans faced a reality that today's survivalists can barely imagine. Nothing came easy and nothing was disposable. Families scraped by on meagre wages, and often the only way to keep life moving was to create, repair, or reinvent tools from what seemed like absolutely nothing. For the first minute, picture a small workshop in a rural town. Scraps of metal and broken wood scattered across the floor. A young man or woman carefully studying a discarded tin can or rusted piece of pipe. They needed a plough part repaired, a simple hammer, or a small hand tool. But the local store had nothing. And yet, somehow, they turned these scraps into functional, sometimes ingenious equipment that could work as well as, or even better than, store-bought tools. This was the essence of Depression-era salvage, a combination of resourcefulness, patience, and an almost surgical understanding of material properties. The reason this salvage approach worked was that it relied on understanding material function, not appearance. When raw materials were scarce, the Depression-era craftsman didn't care if a piece of metal looked worn or a handle was uneven. What mattered was whether it could hold a load, transmit force, or pivot smoothly. Old car springs became tongs, broken plough blades transformed into hoes, and even tin cans were cut and folded into funnels, scoops, or protective covers for delicate machinery. Every scrap was analysed for its inherent qualities: rigidity, flexibility, corrosion resistance, and thermal tolerance. By focusing on function rather than perfection, people created tools that were durable, lightweight, and highly effective, even under repeated heavy use. How families and small workshops turned trash into practical tools is where the genius of this era truly shines. For example, a rusted metal bracket from a dismantled tractor might be heated over a small forge or fire until pliable, then hammered into shape to form a makeshift wrench or lever. Wooden crate slats often became handles, braces, or small workbenches. If a screw or bolt was missing, old coat hangers could be straightened and repurposed to hold assemblies together temporarily. Techniques such as coal bending, drilling, or chiseling became second nature because people couldn't rely on the luxury of precision-manufactured components. The goal was always functionality. Could the tool perform the task without breaking? Could it be repaired if it did? These principles are surprisingly relevant to modern bushcraft and survival workshops where resources may be limited. You know, the science behind why salvage tools lasted so long is often overlooked. Many modern tools, well, they rely on precise tolerances and uniform materials, which are great in controlled conditions, but can really fail under improvisation or environmental stress. Now, Depression-era tools, by contrast, were often overbuilt in critical areas. Thicker metal where stress was expected, reinforced joints where wood or cloth could fray. Craftsmen understood that flexibility could absorb shock, while rigidity provided leverage. Even corrosion-prone materials were treated with oil, wax, or grease to prolong life. What seems like simple ingenuity is actually applied material science honed by necessity, and it's exactly what makes these methods evergreen for anyone interested in self-reliance today. Now, How you can apply this salvage trick in a modern survival or bushcraft setting is honestly remarkably straightforward. First, just start by evaluating every discarded metal object, broken appliance, or scrap of wood around your home or workshop. Ask yourself, can this part hold force? Can it pivot, clamp, or slide? Next, try to envision the tool you need. Maybe a digging implement, a clamp, a mallet, or even a scoop. From there, simple techniques like bending, cutting, joining or reinforcing will allow you to transform the scrap into a functioning tool. For instance, an old baking sheet can become a shovel or scoop, a bent coat hanger can serve as a hook or clamp, and a rusted pipe section can be fashioned into a spade handle or even a lever. A practical example comes from Depression-era rural farming communities. Farmers frequently repaired broken hand tools by welding, riveting or bolting scavenged metal to existing handles. A broken scythe might be reinforced with a metal strip from a discarded wheel rim. And a split hammer handle could be reinforced with leather or wire wrappings. Even the simplest improvised tools often exceeded expectations because folks would test, iterate, and reinforce them based on repeated use. Modern survivalists, they can really take a page from this by keeping a small kit of nails, screws, cordage, and adhesive compounds right alongside their scrap materials. Another principle to remember is adaptability and modular thinking. Depression-era craftsmen didn't just make one tool for one job. They often created multi-purpose tools that could be adjusted for different functions. For example, a shovel with a removable handle could double as a hoe, or even serve as support for a shelter. And a modified tin box, that could act as a container, a stove, or even a water scoop. This approach reduces weight, increases efficiency, and, it really mirrors modern bushcraft priorities. One object, many uses. The real value of this Depression-era salvage trick is not nostalgia. It's resilience, problem-solving, and sustainability. It reminds us that functionality matters more than appearance, and that careful observation, creativity, and patience can, turn waste into a life-saving resource. By learning from these techniques, modern survivalists, DIY enthusiasts, and history buffs gain tools, skills, and perspectives that honestly remain practical even today. If you found this guide inspiring and want more insights into forgotten survival methods and historic ingenuity, make sure you subscribe to Backyard Wisdom and share this video. The knowledge of the past can equip us for the challenges of today and tomorrow.